The former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against the real prospects, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
A very good morning. This is the Early Breakfast. I'm Sam Ellard. We've got a packed hour of sports news and talking points for you as we build up to talkSPORT Breakfast at 6 with Big Al and Ray Parlour on the way over the next hour, bringing you your essential roundup of the morning's top sports stories. Plenty of late developments yesterday evening in the world of transfers. We'll tell you all about that. Newcastle finally closing in on a striker, and Kobbie Mainoo wants to leave Man United. We've got reaction to the Champions League draw. Trent Alexander-Arnold back at Anfield. Kevin De Bruyne is back at Man City. Bring you the best of the reaction from yesterday on talkSPORT to Manchester United's dismal start to the season and that defeat to Grimsby. There was plenty of good reaction yesterday on talkSPORT, including an epic Goldstein meltdown. We build up to the weekend's Premier League action, hearing from a host of Premier League managers. We've got some back page and front page headlines too. This is the Early Sports Breakfast, and we're with Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. You can find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. So a very good morning. It is 5:04, Friday, August the 29th. Happy Friday morning, whether you're waking up early, whether you're coming home late, or whether maybe you just can't sleep. Happy Friday morning. Looking forward to the weekend. I'll just bring you now some back page headlines this Friday morning. Lots again about Manchester United. Back of the mail, crisis talks. Chris Wheeler says this morning Ruben Amorim is set for talks with Manchester United's hierarchy in the international break after casting fresh doubt over his future. United's humiliating Carabao Cup capitulation at Grimsby on Wednesday has increased the early season pressure on Amorim after spending more than £200 million on signings this summer. Amorim, who considered his position in January then said in May he would walk away without compensation if he is not the right man for the job. He raised more concerns over his future in the wake of United's defeat by the League Two club on penalties. The frustrated 40-year-old described it as the limit and indicated he would speak to his employers during the 2-week international break that follows United's game at Old Trafford tomorrow. They take on Burnley. So crisis talk is the headline back of the Mail. Amorim to have United showdown talks in the next couple of days. Similar sort of headline on the back of the Guardian. Unrest at Old Trafford is their headline. Jamie Jackson writing this morning, Ruben Amorim's tactics and management are being questioned by some in the Manchester United dressing room, and there is a feeling at the club the head coach may resign unless results pick up. Amorim is under severe pressure after that defeat to Grimsby, club figures believe Amorim may quit as tactics are questioned. That's the back of the Guardian. Back of the Express, in the nick of time, Newcastle on the verge of smashing their transfer record to land Stuttgart striker Nick Woltemade in a deal that could hit £70 million. And despite the two insisting it will not change Alexander Isak's status, Liverpool will be encouraged. The deal can now be done. That's the back of the Express. Back of the Sun, crunch time is their headline. Martin Blackburn saying this morning Ruben Amorim will hold crunch talks with Manchester United bosses next week after a troubled reign hit a new low. Also back of the Sun, Trent Kopp's red hot tie. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kevin De Bruyne would hand an instant return to England in the Champions League. The Sun have also got the Newcastle transfer story, and again a very similar pattern across all the back pages. Back of the Mirror, Ruben crisis talks under pressure. Amorim to meet United hierarchy who will demand an instant lift for his bruised Reds. We'll bring you some more Amorim fallout from talkSPORT yesterday. Plenty of it, as you can imagine, from around 5:30. But there was lots of big transfer news coming to us last night. Newcastle United have reached an agreement with Stuttgart to sign Nick Woltemade. The deal for the 23-year-old Stuttgart forward was worth €75 million plus 5 in add-ons. The Germany international has been targeted all summer by Bayern Munich, but he's on course to join Newcastle. So finally, after lots of rejection, it looks like Newcastle are going to sign a centre-forward. Here's European football expert Andy Brassel.
I think he'll be a really good addition, and it's really impressive how they've kept this on the down low, because that's been the problem with their summer so far, isn't it? That they keep getting gazumped by other clubs. What's also interesting is the fact that Bayern weren't prepared to go all in for him. They're very, very keen. He was keen to go there. They wouldn't get to the number that Newcastle have got to. And it's really been a meteoric rise for him, because he arrived on a free transfer from Werder Bremen, where he wasn't a regular last summer. And Stuttgart have turned him into this player in the space of less than a year, really, because he had a slow start to last season. But I think if you're looking for someone who's quite a faithful replacement for Isak with a high upside, I'm not sure you could have signed many better players than him.
So it looks like Newcastle finally therefore getting the centre forward. Of course, lots of talk now will be about what's going to happen with Alexander Isak. Elsewhere, Chelsea have reached an agreement with Manchester United to sign Alejandro Garnacho. The deal for the 21-year-old winger is worth £40 million fixed fee plus £10 million plus 10% sell-on clause. It's a contract to 2032. The medical was scheduled for London today, as the Argentina international will join Chelsea from Manchester United. Former Chelsea defender Scott Minto believes this transfer must mean that Amorim is staying at Manchester United.
Well, I don't like the things that he's done. As you just alluded to a couple of things there, it's almost like it's all about me, and that's the last thing that Enzo Maresca wants. But what I do think is, one, he's incredibly talented, and two, there is that left wing berth that's still open. Estevao looks like he's going to be a brilliant player, but he's still only 18. Jamie Gittins has only just signed, and he's still getting to know how to play for Chelsea and under Enzo Maresca. So from a purely playing point of view, if you want 2 or 3 really good wingers, and let's not forget, Chelsea are not just Europa Conference, they're the Champions League as well as Premier League and the domestic cups as well. You need a deep squad. So from Chelsea's point of view, and I think Enzo Maresca will put him in his place at times, and he'll have to deal with it because he can't keep on going out and being public if he's not happy with whatever. Otherwise, people just won't touch him. I think it's a really good signing. What does it tell me from United's angle? It tells me that Ruben Amorim's not going anywhere right now.
I think that the Garnacho signing to Chelsea is a fascinating one. I mean, if you look at that Chelsea team, they are absolutely, in my opinion, they're stacked in terms of what they've got in attacking positions, players that can play anywhere sort of across the front three. They've obviously got a number 9 in João Pedro and Liam Delap, and plenty of other players can play out wide or in a 10. I'm surprised they think they need to add Garnacho into that. I think they've got enough options in attacking positions. And Garnacho, as we know, you're not really sure what you're going to get with Alejandro Garnacho. Sure, there is a talented player there, but he's super, super frustrating. It feels like, to me, even though the fee isn't too big, it feels like it's a bit of unnecessary signing. It feels like it's a little bit of a gamble for Chelsea when they don't need another attacking option. I look at them defensively. I thought before the injury of Levi Colwill, they needed to bring in another experienced centre to play alongside Colwill. Now Colwill's out for the season. I think they got some young options centre-back, but I think they are crying out for a commanding experience centre to come in and improve that Chelsea team. So I find it strange that people at Chelsea Football Club look at the balance of the team and think we need another winger as opposed to another centre-back, where I think they really are short. But yeah, looks like Garnacho is going to finally get that move from Chelsea to Manchester, from Manchester United to Chelsea. Elsewhere, this is a David Ornstein exclusive from last night. Kobbie Mainoo has informed Manchester United of his wish to leave on loan before the deadline. The 20-year-old wants to move for more game time. The club made clear not sanctioning a temporary switch, plus they expect the England international to fight for his place. Speaking with talkSPORT in the week, the former United defender John O'Shea says he can't believe that Mainoo can't get game time in this United team.
I found it slightly strange that the manager mentioned he's just in competition with Bruno.
I know.
I just found it a little bit strange. Listen, I know he's probably putting a bit of a challenge to him to say, listen, maybe that's who you're up against. So, and obviously Bruno's been the top performer for the last few seasons. So, a little bit strange, but hopefully it's just a bit of a little wake up call for Mainoo to kind of do something a bit different. Can he rise to the challenge? Is it a little kind of psychological one for him? But hopefully, listen. He's a quality player. United cannot afford to be losing him or selling him for any reason whatsoever. He's definitely, I hope, part of the future of the club that's going to be successful, without a doubt.
Lots happening then in the world of transfers. talkSPORT.com is the place to be for any further developments. Elsewhere yesterday, we had the draw for the league phase of the Champions League.
Of the box, slams it in to ensure that Liverpool's nerves will no longer jangle.
Real Madrid have got to go to Anfield.
So that means Trent will be back at Anfield.
Yes.
Haaland! 1-0 Manchester City, and it is a sublime goal!
I almost feel like with Manchester City with their draws, it doesn't really matter who they draw. And every season, I almost fall for the same trick. Well, I think it doesn't really matter who they got.
Arsenal 2, Real Madrid 0. Declan Rice at the double.
Some tough away games, but generally I don't think that's too bad for Arsenal at all.
Chelsea become the first team in history to win the full set of European trophies.
When I saw Barca, it's like Barca at home. Oh, come on. That's proper Champions League football. And that's what this new format has done.
What a fantastic season this has been for Newcastle. Champions League football, Carabao Cup.
They've got to go to the Parc des Princes, they've got to go to the Bayer Arena to face Leverkusen, they've got to go to the Velodrome to take on Marseille. So some belters in there.
Tottenham currently fourth bottom in the Premier League. They'll be in the Champions League next season.
I think they'll look at that list and think some fun games, but we can absolutely go through.
Some of the headlines then from that Champions League draw. Both Liverpool and Man City will face 15 times winners Real Madrid, as well as coming up against Trent Alexander-Arnold and Real at Anfield. 6-time winners Liverpool face Atletico Madrid and the beaten finalists Inter Milan. Tottenham and Newcastle must both play the holders PSG. Pep Guardiola's City taking on Napoli and Borussia Dortmund. Napoli's trip to the Etihad Stadium is set to feature Kevin De Bruyne's return to the club, where he won 6 Premier League titles. Chelsea face giants Barcelona and Bayern Munich. while Arsenal also play Harry Kane's Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. Newcastle's return to the competition includes a trip to St James's Park for Barcelona, while Tottenham, of course, qualified by winning the Europa League, play Dortmund and Monaco. The first match is played on Tuesday, the 16th of September. The last round of league games taking place on the 28th of January in 2026. The exact scheduling of what team you will play and when is to come in the coming days. To drive and some more reaction with Andy and Benty, and they were joined in the studio by the European football expert Kevin Hatchard. Here they are discussing Manchester City.
I think that's okay, because I think you look at some of the home games they've got. Dortmund are not in great shape right now, I don't think. Leverkusen certainly aren't. Napoli might be tough. I accept that. Galatasaray, if you had to go there, it would be a lot harder. And some of the away ones, Madrid away obviously is really tough, but some of them, Villarreal, not particularly intimidating. Werder Glimt is tough because of the conditions, but Monaco away, not intimidating either.
Do you know what? I always look at Manchester City, what other draw they get, right? And maybe I'm just naive because of how great Pep's been and the sides that he built. But I almost feel like with Manchester City, with their draws, it doesn't really matter who they draw. And even though they've only won it once, every season I almost fall for the same that trick where I think, well, it doesn't really matter who they got. They're probably going to win.
But what was different last season was that they were more vulnerable than they've ever been under him before, because Rodri was out. You had all these spaces suddenly open up in midfield, and they had a lot of the same game in the sense that the opponents went, we can play through their press. And once we do that, we can find all this space. There was a game at Juventus, and Juventus aren't amazing, to be honest, but they worked out they could play through the first line of the press and it would all open up for them.
So lots and lots of really exciting bits to take from that Champions League draw. Perhaps the most exciting bit, the best story, has got to be Trent going back to Anfield. So Liverpool have got Real Madrid at home, Inter Milan away, Atletico Madrid at home, Frankfurt away, PSV at home, Marseille away, Karabakh at home, Galatasaray away. But there, the big talking point, Real Madrid at home, Trent Alexander-Arnold back at Anfield. Here's Kev's take on Liverpool's fixtures.
Close to as tough an away set as you could have, because you've got to go to Inter. You've got to go to Frankfurt, that'll be a bear pit. You've got to go to the Velodrome, exactly the same. And you've got to go to Galatasaray, exactly the same. So you're going to have to deal with really intense atmospheres in every single away game that you play. I'm not saying that will faze Liverpool. I'm just saying it's not as straightforward as it could have been if the draw had panned out a different way. Real Madrid, of course, they beat last season and beat with room to spare at Anfield, which was important when you think how many times Liverpool have lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League in recent years. I think that was important psychologically for them. Atletico at home. Atletico, one of their greatest triumphs under Simeone was actually at Anfield. You might remember when they won that tie at Anfield. Marcus Llorente, who scored twice in that game, called his dog Anfield after that tie.
So plenty of exciting ties for us all to look forward to when the Champions League gets going in a couple of weeks' time after the international break. You're listening to talkSPORT and the Early Breakfast Show. Happy Friday morning. We're with you until 6 o'clock this morning. Then Big Al takes over with talkSPORT Breakfast. Coming up next, we'll take a deeper dive into what's making this morning's back pages. A very good morning, I'm Sam Ellard and this is the Early Sports Breakfast with Agent Flux. Get a tailor-made quote for your commercial vehicle. Search Agent Flux Insurance for the individual. Don't forget you can listen to all of our stations on the talkSPORT app. For some music, Virgin Radio is there. There's even a Virgin Radio Britpop station on the app too. Or for some news, you can find Talk and Times Radio. Just swipe between our stations, something for everyone, I promise you. Some sporting headlines you're waking up to this Friday morning. World number one Yannick Sinner says there's still room for improvement despite recording a 23rd successive match victory in hard-court Grand Slams to reach the US Open third round. He produced another really good display against world number 36 Alexei Poprin. Meanwhile, Jacob Fernley, though, has just been knocked out, losing to Alex Zverev in straight sets. So Cam Norrie, the only Brit left in the men's draw. In Europe last night, 10-man Aberdeen dropped into the Conference League as a game-changing red card and an FCSB penalty turned the Europa League playoff tie in favour of the Romanian champions. They lost 3-0 on the night, 5-2 on aggregate. Palace, though, made it through in the Conference League against Fredrikstad, and Hibernian, though, have been knocked out of that. Elsewhere, Chelsea have agreed a £40 million fee to sign Man United forward Alejandro Garnacho. The 21-year-old was told to find a new club by head coach Ruben Amorim at the end of last season. For more on all of the day's biggest sporting stories, go to talksport.com. It's 5:22. It's Friday, August the 29th. Happy Friday morning. It's the Early Sports Breakfast, and Will Hobbs is with me in the studio now to take a look at some of today's back pages. Morning, Will.
Hello, Sam. How are you doing?
Really well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, the transfer window.
Yeah.
We look back to last summer, and you look at the likes of Arsenal. You know, they signed Calafiori. Fine. Liverpool, Chiesa, spent 10 million. City, not too many big names. This is going to go down as one of the classic transfer windows, isn't it? Walter Marder obviously dominating the back pages. And, I mean, you compare it to this one. You know, Liverpool spending 200 million on Wirtz and Ekitike, Arsenal getting Eze and Gyökeres, Zubimendi, Rangers for City, Chelsea going big as well with João Pedro. But Newcastle have been the story, haven't they? And I think the best thing about this transfer window, as we're picking up in the papers, is the biggest story of the window is still unresolved going into deadline day. I don't remember a classic deadline day for a long time.
You know what, Will?
It's going to be one.
You're bang on. I was recording something yesterday with Jim White, which is going to be on the talkSPORT Daily podcast on Monday. And Jim was looking back on the great deadline days, and he was reeling off some big transfers that happened on the final day. I was like, wow, Berbatov from Man United to Spurs, incredible. 2008, 2011, that crazy day where Torres went from Liverpool to Chelsea, Suarez went to Liverpool, Carroll went to Liverpool. And it got me thinking, we haven't in recent years, I don't think deadline day lives up to what it has done, I think, in my childhood. Like, I don't think the big deals happen really late. But I was thinking Isak, Visser, Guehi, Donnarumma, Garnacho getting done, Jackson, Nkunku, Højlund, Elliott, Mainoo among just some of the high-profile cases unresolved as the window moves into the final 72 hours. So you've got big players needing to try and find clubs. It feels like lots of the big clubs, whether it's Man United, Spurs, Liverpool, still trying to do business.
Big time.
So I do agree with you. I do think we could genuinely be in for a really fun and busy final few days.
Yeah, and the Isak dial, obviously the story is turning all the time. That Voldemar signing is a fascinating one. I mean, he reminds me, he's got a touch of the Berbatovs about him, to be honest. I mean, 6'6", but he's not sort of this big sort of stocky imposer. He's a bit of a glider.
Lazy?
I don't know.
No, I'm tongue in cheek. Berbatov won't like that.
But he's a bit of a leg spinner in the sense that he's got so many variations of finishes, I think. You know, he can chip it, he can hit the headers, he scores from range as well. Obviously a very young player, Bayern Munich, interested in him. But I was just thinking about the Times have helpfully reminded us of the number of strikers Newcastle have missed out on this summer. So they went in for João Pedro, then it was Ekitike.
Have we got enough time to get through all these strikers?
Visser, Jürgen Strand-Larsen, that's probably it. There might be some others. Johan Visser might get done as a Callum Wilson replacement, but it's been arduous for Newcastle. They'll be glad that Walter Marder looks to be going through the door.
That's really good news. And now, I mean, the Express say this morning that despite the two insisting it will not change in regards to the Alexander Isak situation, do you think this is his replacement? Do you think now, especially if they can get Visser in, and then Liverpool think, hey, let's put in that second bid? Do you think Newcastle, given everything that's happened, will say, you know what, we've got our centre forward, we've got Visser, our Callum Wilson replacement, let's take 120, 130 million pounds for Isak?
It has to be now, I think. But up until this point, I feel like Newcastle have held all the cards with Isak, right? Because if the deadline did shut and Liverpool didn't put in that bid, it's a World Cup year, and if he's just going to sit on the sidelines, well, his value's going to go down. So he would have to eventually put his toys back in the pram. Now it seems that that dial has been shifted and they're like, finally, we can get him out the door. And Liverpool, of course, are bidding against themselves now. So there's no competition there. So the second bid that they can put in, according to Ben Jacobs, will be disciplined. Good word from Ben Jacobs, their cricketing term.
Disciplined?
But, a disciplined second bid. I really enjoyed that.
What does a disciplined bid mean?
It probably does. So it's 110 is where they're at now.
Sure.
Newcastle 150. So they're not going to, pay a big booming drive to that 140 mark. They're going to sort of play under their nose for maybe 115, 120.
Okay, so less Bazball.
Yeah, less Bazball, more sort of an Alistair Cook second attempt, maybe.
Let's be disciplined. Yeah. A disciplined bid.
Yeah,
I like
enjoy it, the transfer window.
But enjoy it by being disciplined. Yeah. As you're about to spend £120 million on a human being.
Yeah, exactly. Once you've spent 200 million already on 2 players.
But they have sold a lot.
It's true.
They have sold well.
They're the best at doing it.
They are indeed.
Yeah.
Will, I mean, elsewhere, the back pages are once again all about Manchester United, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's just been sacked. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows?
At the wheel.
Yeah, how good does it feel? I mean, to be fair, the Star have done Amorim a favour. They're saying, finally some good news, Ruben, as the aforementioned Alejandro Garnacho has been shown the door. That move agreed now for 40 million, then sort of 10 million floating around in there on whatever add-ons there may be. They're called the bomb squad, obviously, at Manchester United. Obviously, Rashford was moved on earlier. Jadon Sancho, though, still knocking around there. But it'll be interesting to say, I don't know, Ruben Amorim, because he did say last season, I will go without compensation if I'm not the right man. He's got the worst win record of anyone since Ferguson, apart from Ralph Rangnick. He's been there, 7 months now? On every metric, they're going down and down and down, despite spending £200 million on that front three. If they had got over the line against Arsenal, which they were pushing to do, obviously the narrative would be completely different. But that loss to Grimsby, I mean, I saw something on Twitter saying Grimsby will be slightly annoyed that it took penalties to beat Man United. They should have got it done in 90 minutes. But, it's just, will he go first? Will he jump? How will they sort of frame it up? I mean, Man United, the board saying he has our full backing. We know from the Ten Hag saga that means absolutely nothing. And Scott Parker, ironically, saying, Ruben, I feel for you. You've got to avoid the deluge of criticism. Well, if Scott Parker beats him on the weekend, there'll be even more. So if anything, Scott Parker has the power to basically sign him off.
You've said they're the Star were generous with him this morning. Inside the Mail, not so much. Okay. The image of Ruben Amorim fiddling with his tactics, magnets, and cowering in the Grimsby dugout as his team were humiliated will haunt him forever. He looked like the fraud with the board.
The fraud with the board. That's a stretch. The Wally with the Brolly.
Wally with the Brolly.
The different variations on Twitter of that image has been brilliant. The knitting. You've got the Sabutio. You've got so
DJ
many.
Dex.
The DJ Dex is lovely. Yeah. It's really good. A real image, isn't it? And then finally, Raducanu on the back of the Times.
Yeah, good stuff. She's still going and she's playing. She looked good so far. I know she hasn't had the toughest opposition, Will, but so far so good.
Well, it's a big test today against Elena Rybakina. So the year Raducanu won the US Open 2021, she was only 18. She was a qualifier. We forget these things now because we just take it for granted. That year, Elena Rybakina, who she's playing today, won Wimbledon. So this is the first stern test at the US Open. But Raducanu, the way she's impressed in the last year really is when she's played the world number one, Aryna Sabalenka, the defending US Open champion, and she's pushed her twice. She pushed her at Wimbledon, then she got a set off her recently. So Raducanu definitely back to her best. She's got a new chiropractor who's worked with AP McCoy, with Ali Williams, the All Black. So and she's had lots of back problems previously. So she's feeling as confident and as free as ever. So we shall see. But Raducanu in there, Cam Norrie up against Djokovic, that could be a bit of a match.
And they're just the two Brits left, aren't they? Because Fernley has been knocked out in the last couple of hours, hasn't he, against Zverev. So we wish Raducanu the best. You kind of just want her to settle on a backroom team and just...
She's still so young. I think she's still only 22. So, I mean, everyone's had their say on Raducanu. I think the only thing she's ever done wrong is win the US Open.
How dare she?
She's never won that.
How dare she?
There'll be no criticism.
What was she thinking, right?
Yeah, I know. Mental.
Will, good stuff. She's almost as young as you, isn't she?
It's a couple of years younger.
How old are you?
24.
Are you 24? Goodness me, 24. Outrageous. Good
I'm older than Newcastle's new striker, so there you go.
Wow, good man.
The tide is turning when it comes to my
Your first touch is not as good as his, though, is it?
We'll see. Both are yet to be determined, I think, Sam. I don't think you've seen either. But
no, I haven't, to be fair. Will Hobbs, thank you very much. That was a look at today's back pages. It is 5:30 on talkSPORT. This is the Early Breakfast.
cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
A very good morning. This is the Early Sports Breakfast. We're with Adrian Flux, the cover you need at a price you'll love, with Watt Van's Insurer of the Year 2021. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. I'm Sam Ellard with you until 6 o'clock this morning. Then it's Big Hour and Arsenal Invincible Ray Parlour with talkSPORT Breakfast. Some sporting headlines you're waking up to this morning. Newcastle reached an agreement with Stuttgart to sign Nick Voltemade. The deal for the 23-year-old forward will be €75 million with 5 in add-ons. Both Liverpool and Man City will face 15-time winners Real Madrid in the league phase of the Champions League, while Tottenham and Newcastle must both play holders PSG. And Britain's Jacob Fernley says he was caught off guard by a noisy US Open crowd as German third seed Alexander Zverev made his experience count in a second-round win. Fernley, well, he showed spirit to save 5 match points against a 3-time major finalist, but he's out in New York, losing 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. So Cam Norrie, the only Brit left in the men's draw, and Emma Raducanu is also in the women's draw. So it's a big weekend then for Manchester United, and in particular Ruben Amorim, after a disastrous start to the season, yet to win in the Premier League. And of course, I'm sure you all know by now, they were knocked out of the Carabao Cup midweek by Grimsby. Lots of pieces in the papers today along a sort of similar theme regarding Ruben Amorim. I'll read this on the back of the Mail. Crisis talks. Chris Wheeler saying Ruben Amorim is set for talks with Man United's hierarchy in the international break after casting fresh doubt over his future. United's humiliating Carabao Cup capitulation at Grimsby on Wednesday has increased the early season pressure on Amorim after spending more than £200 million on signings this summer. Amorim, who considered his position in January, then said in May he would walk away without compensation if he is not the right man for the job. He raised more concerns over his future in the wake of United's defeat by the League Two club on penalty. So lots of reaction to this, as you can imagine, across talkSPORT all day yesterday on Thursday to drive his Man United fan and drive presenter Andy Goldstein.
I don't really know where to start other than by just dissecting the garbage that I saw last night. So, number of problems from my perspective as a Man United fan. Why are we playing back 5 against Grimsby? Right, question number one. Why is Mason Mount playing left wing back? Why is Ruben Amorim sat in the dugout with, well, I can only describe it as tactical magnets. I don't even know what that... No manager on the planet with a team like Man United should go to Grimsby and need any kind of magnet to work out what he should be doing, right? Shesko taking the 10th penalty. The manager not watching the penalty.
No, but I haven't got a problem with that.
Hold on. Let me have my rant.
Just quick.
Let me have my rant.
Just interject. I have not got a problem with the manager.
Okay, you should watch it. You should watch. No. You're the manager. You need to see everything. You need to. Hold on. You need to see if a player is feeling the stress when he's walking up to the penalty spot. You need to check out body language. It's your team. You should be looking at every single aspect. If you're 9 years old and I can't bear to look, then you're not cut out for the job, right? Now this is basically where Manchester United are at the moment. The manager, and it pains me to say it, Ruben Amorim, because I really wanted it to work, is not good enough. It's that simple. If you're a manager and you've won, 7 league games and lost 15, and you pick a team like that when you're playing defensively, 5 at the back, and also there was a moment in that game where when we went to a 3 and you've got De Ligt as the link between the back 3 or the back 5 and the midfield. You've got a De Ligt as a playmate. Like, I don't know where he's coming up with these ideas. And afterwards I saw him interviewed. And a lot of people would say, a couple of people texted me saying, I felt sorry for him. I didn't feel sorry for him. I'm listening to a manager after the game that is so far out of his depth, it's embarrassing.
Andy Goldstein, passionate on Drive yesterday. To a little bit earlier on, his Simon Jordan, who spoke in particular about the way Ruben Amorim spoke after the game and his manner in his post-match press conferences.
I think that to have gotten the job of Man United manager, you have to be dragged out there with your fingernails being scraped across the Old Trafford pitch to want to be leaving that environment, unless you haven't got the chops for it in the first place. So if we're talking about the idea that he's resigned to defeat, then good job, get rid of him quick, because he hasn't got the stomach for it, because it requires real gumption, real stomach, real backbone, real balls and real character to get through this challenge of Man United. And too many of us are making excuses for the culture of Man United. But the problem for Man United is that the scrutiny is so ever present that they're not able to have a bad game, a bad moment, a bad set of situations, because it's always there all the time. And so you can't rebuild. You can't, like when you highlight a new stage show, you take it off Broadway and you let it learn and then you bring it back to the big theatres. You can't do that with Manchester United. You're straight in the glare of things. But if you've been in a job in any walk of life for 10 months and it appears to be getting worse, and by your own admission, nothing has changed, well, who's the architect of change?
An incredible stat. Ruben Amorim has managed Man United in 28 matches against current Premier League teams. He's overseen 4 wins. It's a win percentage rate of under 14.5%. 2 of those wins came in his first month in charge. To the breakfast show yesterday, Bonahor, he simply believes a Man United job is just too big for Ruben Amorim.
I just think the manager, to not go over to the players during the penalty shootout, just says to me, I'm disgusted with all of you. Like, whatever happens, let's get out of here. Like, the players aren't responding to him. The job's too much for him. And I done my coaching badges with Ruben Amorim in Belfast, our fast-track course. And it didn't seem to me, speaking to him whilst we were away for 2 weeks, that he was a coward. And that's what I see now. I see a manager that the job's too big for him. Is he sure he wants to be a Manchester United manager anymore? Because
strong Gab calling him a coward.
Yeah, but he is, Al. Like, I'm telling you now, I don't know any manager that would, for the whole penalty shootout, look away. You're the leader. When you score a penalty, you'd look over at your manager and be like, yes. And you look over and your manager's like got his head down, like he's disgusted at his players. That's not leadership. But did you hear the manager after the Arsenal game?
No. Well, yeah.
We can beat anyone on our day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can my local Sunday League team on their day. What are you talking about? You go to Fulham and you play for 10 minutes, then you don't turn up for 85 minutes with extra time. Last night you turned up when you're 2-0 down, and Harry Maguire was probably Manchester United's best player, but his mistake should have been a goal to make it 3-0.
I agree.
I don't know what's going on there. They've been having them decisions for years, Manchester United, favourable decisions. But I just look at that squad of players, Al, and I just think that, like, that club has a real problem. You can buy players because your revenue, 700 million. You'll keep having transfer windows where you can't make any revenue by selling players, but you still got 150, 200 million to spend, but nothing will change.
So some strong thoughts from many, many people then all day yesterday across the talkSPORT network on all things Manchester United. It was also broken last night by David Ornstein that Kobbie Mainoo has informed Man United of his wish to leave on loan before the deadline. The 20-year-old has told United he's got no desire but wants to move for game time. Club made clear they're not sanctioning a temporary switch and expecting international to fight for his place. So Mainoo's informed United of wanting to leave. Elsewhere, finally Chelsea and United have reached an agreement for Chelsea to sign Alejandro Garnacho. Let's hear then from talkSPORT's transfer guru Ben Jacobs on that Garnacho deal. He's got a little bit more detail for us.
So the fee is 40 million fixed and it suits all parties. There's a 10% sell-on as well. And Garnacho's agreed a 7-year deal. And we reported for much of the window that Chelsea was starting at 25, 30 million. Manchester United wanted 50 million. They've met halfway. Garnacho wanted the move. And I think for Manchester United, it suits them also to do a sale, both in terms of the player and Ruben Amorim not seeing eye to eye from a philosophical or football point of view, and the fact that this is pure profit on the books as well. So Garnacho will now formalise the move. It was never really in doubt, but interestingly, Chelsea choosing to complete Garnacho today after selling Christopher Nkunku to Milan for 42 million euros, whereas Xavi Simons, who maybe as a central player is more like for Nkunku, his future still has a big question mark over it, with Chelsea keen, but also Tottenham really pushing.
So plenty happening then in the world of transfers. The deadline is, of course, on Monday at 7 o'clock. talkSPORT will be keeping you right across everything happening in the world of transfers. But lots happening at Man United, certainly in terms of players leaving. Could it be Kobbie Mainoo? Well, it certainly looks like it's going to be Alejandro Garnacho who's going to get that move to Chelsea. Perhaps some good news for Ruben Amorim, getting rid of another player from that bomb squad. It is just gone 5:45, Friday, August 29th, talkSPORT Early Breakfast, with you until 6 o'clock this morning. Coming up next, turn our attention to the weekend's Premier League action, and we'll hear from plenty of Premier League managers speaking yesterday in their pre-match press conferences.
Game day starts here.
This is a West London derby.
João Pedro with a great opportunity.
West Ham 1, Chelsea 5.
And he's Muniz! And he's won it in the 95th minute at Stamford Bridge.
And it's going to be a good derby, I believe. And of course, to give the great feeling for our fans that is to win a derby, a local derby.
Unai Emery's side picked up 40 points at Villa Park last season and lost just one home game.
Mateta picks it up inside the area, and he scored again.
Seeing Villa play out from the backs on a few occasions, they make me nervous.
A lot of rustiness from players, sloppy touches, easy passes that are going astray.
Villa just didn't do enough to try and win the game. Brentford 1, Villa 0.
A lot to improve on for Aston Villa.
Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
Palace are in very, very good nick. They're a very organised, well-managed football team. Very, very difficult to play against.
The only place to be is with Game Day on the talkSPORT network.
A very good morning. It's the Early Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. Sam and I are with you until 6 o'clock. Let's now look ahead to Game Day and talkSPORT commentaries this weekend. We start this evening a talkSPORT 2 exclusive in the Championship. Leicester versus Birmingham. Two sides that have had decent starts to the season. Birmingham 7 points from their 3 games. Leicester 6 points from their 2 games. And then Saturday, the 12:30 kick-off. Chelsea versus Fulham. That's 12:30 on talkSPORT. Same time on talkSPORT 2 in the Championship. Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. We've also got another Premier League commentary for you on Sunday evening, slightly later kick-off time at 7 o'clock of Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Gabby Bonahor on commentary for talkSPORT on that one. Let's now hear from some Premier League managers. Brentford boss Keith Andrews has confirmed they'll once again be without Johan Visser for their trip to Sunderland. He's told the club he wants to leave following interest from Newcastle. He hasn't played in the first 2 league games for Brentford, a loss and a victory. Andrews says there's no change in the situation.
Copy and paste really from the other day, the exact same answer. Nothing's changed in terms of my stance. In terms of moving behind the scenes, don't see any movement on that. So it's very much the same as it was really.
So Brentford tomorrow go to Sunderland. Also tomorrow, Manchester United versus Burnley. Spoke a lot about Manchester United and the pressure that Ruben Amorim is under. What about Burnley? Back in the Premier League. They lost away to Spurs first day of the season. Beat Sunderland last weekend at home. A really impressive victory. They go to Old Trafford. Here's their manager, Scott Parker.
Well, I think firstly it's belief. You need to go there with a real belief about you. Believe in what you are, believe in how you go there with a game plan and try and execute that. That comes from a real, like I said, a belief and a confidence to go and do that. Of course, a tough arena, 70,000, and the stadium itself, along with the magnitude of what Man United and Old Trafford is. But for sure, we'll go into this game with the absolute belief that we can try and leave a mark and obviously try and get a result here. Understanding the challenge, of course we understand that, but a real confidence after coming off the back of a good week as well, that we can go and try and get a result.
Manchester United v Burnley is a 3 o'clock kickoff. The 5:30 kickoff tomorrow should be a tasty game at Ellen Road. Leeds versus Newcastle. Of course, Newcastle, as we know, are going to be without Alexander Isak. Also going to be without Anthony Gordon, who was sent off in the Monday night game against Liverpool. So no Isak, no Gordon. He had to bring in a centre forward. Also some injury concerns for some of their midfield players as well. So possibly a decent opportunity for Leeds United at home. They lost away from home at the Emirates, but first day of the season on Monday Night Football, they picked up a really important victory against Everton. Here's Daniel Farke, the Leeds manager, on their very early start to the season.
Yes, obviously we were a bit disappointed after the cup result, but even on the way back to Leeds, we were already focused on Newcastle. We know that we have a tough start of the season in terms of fixtures to play on the first 3 game days again. Straight away against 2 of the sides who have finished in the top 4, away game at Arsenal in their first home game, and then home game against Newcastle. We know it's a tough start, but yes, sometimes you would wish to have this type of fixtures perhaps after a Champions League game for them, when then they're not so much on it and don't have a proper week also to prepare, and this time was a bit the other way around, so we had midweek.
So lots of big games this weekend in the Premier League. There is also a big game, the big game, up in Scotland on Sunday. The Old Firm, Rangers versus Celtic. Both sides have had disappointing results in the week. Both knocked out of the Champions League in their attempts to qualify. But in particular, Rangers have had a really, really tricky start to the season. 3 draws this season in the league. There was a draw away at Motherwell. There was a draw at home to Dundee, and also a draw away at St Mirren. And they were thumped by Club Brugge in their Champions League playoff, losing 9-1 on aggregate. So already they are 6 points behind Celtic in the SPL. Massive game this weekend. Pressure on Russell Martin. Lots of Rangers fans think he should be sacked already. Here's the take of Simon Jordan.
It's their job to do what's right for the football club. And what's right now may well be that Russell Martin isn't fit for the purpose. But only they know that. And I know that the results are not great. I know that getting a 6-0 tonking, is an appalling outcome. It's not helped by a player being sent off. He does have that in the locker in terms of ultimately it's dissuaded the whole game plan. The 3 games in the league are the ones that are doing for him. They really are doing for him in terms of the league form, because 3 draws in a row for Rangers doesn't help his case. He did well against Panathinaikos. I don't care about the style of play. He's trying to change the style of play. He's trying to get the players to adopt to it. It cannot be achieved in 10 games. It cannot be. And if we've really reached a point, really honestly reached a point where a man that's going into a football club doesn't get more than 10 games to change the direction of travel, to be able to implement his ideas, to be able to get players to change the way they're thinking, then people are foolish. And the 49ers know what they employed him for and can still see it. Russell's got to get his shoulders back and his chest out. He's got the brickbats being thrown at him. There's accusations, I think, even our own producer thinks he's a bluffer. I don't think he is.
So a busy weekend then of sporting action in the Premier League, and there is that big game up in Scotland as well. What better way to take you into the weekend than talkSPORT Breakfast? Here's what's coming up on the show this morning. And in Brazil, Ray Parlour reunited from 6 o'clock. The Arsenal Invincible in the studio. Fascinating for Ray's thoughts on all things Arsenal. Of course, going to Liverpool this Sunday in the Premier League. Dean Saunders will join the show at 7:30 to preview Liverpool v Arsenal. The former Liverpool striker on the show. At 8:30, Ben Foster, former Man United goalkeeper, will of course discuss all things Man United. And at 9:30, the legend Sir Rod Stewart, rock legend and Celtic fan, joins the boys to preview the Old Firm derby this weekend. You've been listening to the Early Breakfast Show with Adrian Flux, insurance for the individual. Find out more at adrianflux.co.uk. The Early Breakfast Show will be back Monday morning at 5 o'clock. But coming up next, it's talkSPORT Breakfast. It's Adam Brazil, and he's alongside the Arsenal Invincible, Super Ray Parlour.